topic I think I'm going to cover today is something that a lot of other motovloggers have talked about. Should I ride a motorcycle? And if I am going to ride a bike, what should I get? What's my first bike? My answer to that is pretty simple, is yes, you should ride a motorcycle. And what kind of bike are you going to get? Well, that completely depends on you. I could sit here and recommend a whole bunch of starter bikes, you know, Honda Rebel 250 or the new 300 or 500 for that matter, Ninja 300, Yamaha R3, all kinds of starter bikes. If you're looking into more off-road or supermoto, get a WR250 or DRZ even. And supermotos do make good starter bikes. But the point is, what's your skill level? How much experience do you have with motorcycles and or dirt bikes, and what kind of bike do you want to ride? You got to basically figure out all that stuff before you even think about getting your first bike. Let's back up a minute and let's talk about, should you ride a motorcycle? Of course, my answer is absolutely yes. I believe everybody should ride a motorcycle at least once in their life, just to feel it. You know, if you don't like it, if you're scared of it, whatever, but you got to try it. I mean, it's one of the greatest things you can experience on a daily basis, in my opinion. And it is also one of the most symbiotic relationships a person can have with a machine. And that's why people become so attached to their bikes and love their bikes. And I know there is an attachment with cars and stuff. And I'm a big car guy too. I'm into cars as well. But bikes are just different. It's like riding a roller coaster every day. It's basically like if you're in a roller coaster, there's no rails, and you're in control. That's what riding a motorcycle feels like. And it's awesome. Trying to get in my low speed off-road maneuvering down here. Oh, she's working hard, huh? No kidding. Alright, back to my topic, starter bikes. Well, I gotta ask, do you ride a dirt bike? And I know a lot of people will go, oh, but it's not the same, it's not the same, oh my god. And they're right, it's not the same as riding a dirt bike. But people that come from riding dirt bikes understand clutch control, throttle control, shifting gears, all that stuff. And in my opinion, that puts you light years ahead of somebody that hasn't had that experience. So anybody that gives you crap and says, oh, riding a dirt bike doesn't mean anything compared to a motorcycle, they're full of shit. I come from a quad dirt bike background, and it makes an absolutely huge difference, I'm here to tell you. So if you do have experience with off-road machines, especially big bore dirt bikes like the 450s and stuff, you're really not going to have any problems starting out on a mid-size bike once you get used to it. My very first bike was a Yamaha FZ6. Still to this day, I like those bikes, and I think they're incredibly underrated for what they are and what they can do, and the availability and the value you can get those bikes for. I think it's a great starter bike for anybody that has a little bit of experience. Has around 100 horsepower. It's the same motor as the R6, just detuned a little bit for the street, a little bit more mid-range. And my second bike was actually a Yamaha FZ6. My first bike was totaled when a guy ran into me at a stop sign. Moving up from there, I mean, I like the big powerful bikes and stuff, but it all depends on what you want to do. See, right now I'm riding my Triumph 800 XC, and I think that has a lot to do with my adventurous side, the part of me that I would always be riding on my street bikes and see a trail and be like, man, I wonder where that goes. I'd see these guys ripping it up off-road in the Dakar and these hard enduro events, and I'd miss my dirt bike, I'd miss the off-road experience, but I didn't want to go back to just having a dirt bike. And this is by no means a dirt bike, I'm here to tell you, it's not. But you'd be amazed at what you can do with it. I reference my other videos up on my channel. And it's a great bike. And it's awesome for everyday riding. It's awesome for on the street, awesome on the highway. it's just an awesome bike, and you can take it off-road if you so desire. Nothing crazy, but you can do it. I mean, it's more dependent on your skill level of what you're able to do, but the bike's there and it's willing. The other bike I have right now is the VMAX 1200, and that is one bike I will strongly recommend not be your first motorcycle. Even if you do have experience, with, say, an entry-level cruiser, I would still not recommend a Yamaha VMAX as your first bike, because it is a wicked beast of a machine. And now, I'm not trying to scare you away from it or anything, because it is magnificent, but what I am telling you is that's a lot of bike. And it scares the hell out of me today every time I ride that thing, and I've had 7 motorcycles. And it's not just the speed, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, because it is not the fastest bike in the world, and it is not the fastest bike I've ever ridden. It's not the speed, but it is the power, and the way the power comes on, and how brutal. When you twist that throttle and you come up under V-boost, about 4,500 RPM, and those carburetors really start dumping fuel in, it's a ride. If you're not pointed in the direction you want to go, you're dead, pretty much. And the VMAX is known for its torque and its mid-range hit, and it's just a scary bike. It's big, heavy, powerful muscle bike. So yeah, VMAX 1200, I would not recommend as first bike whatsoever. But what about a dual sporting bike like a Yamaha WR250, DRZ 400, and the kind of dual sporting and or supermoto style bike? Is that a good first bike? I would say yes, absolutely it is. Even if you're not coming from a dirt biking background, because they're lightweight, relatively low displacement, relatively low horsepower, even though they do have torque. They have that torquey hit right off the bottom, but you control that with your right hand. Another thing to take into consideration, if you're looking in that direction though, is the seat height. Harley Davidsons, oh boy, I'm gonna make my own breakout video on Harley Davidsons. Get the pun, breakout? Okay, but the thing is, I would not recommend a Harley Davidson as your first bike purely based on dollar value alone. If you're getting a new one, I mean. I would not want to spend, what's a cheap sports? A cheap Sportster's what, 8 or 9 grand for like an entry-level Sportster? I know they have the Street 750 and 500 now. If you're really die-hard looking into cruisers, I had a Vulcan 800, which was a great little cruiser. I mean, it really, really is. And it kind of opened me into the cruiser world. And I have ridden Harleys before, and there is nothing that can replace a Harley if you want a Harley. But I am telling you, something like that Vulcan 800, which is a relatively inexpensive, nice little metric cruiser you can get around on. It's practical, reliable, not expensive at all. If you're looking at new bikes, there is a lot of entry-level newer bikes that are just really, really good. The 390 Duke, RC 390, R3, like I said, even the FZ07. Now that's pushing it a little bit, I think, for entry-level riding, and that's a sweet little bike. Even experienced people love that bike because it has enough power and the torque that it is fun if you know what you're doing. So basically, what bike should I get? The short answer is a bike that you're gonna like and that you're gonna ride. There's your answer. The only wrong thing to do is, I think more than anything, you got to consider the weight and drivability, let's say, of a motorcycle. Horsepower is not always the end-all answer to everything. It really, really is not. Like, I would not recommend this bike as a starter bike just for its sheer size, height, and everything else. So it's up to you, folks. You got to figure out what you want to ride and then go from there.